Hi, I'm Ashley Harned. Welcome to PaTTANpod. Leading a team of educators post-pandemic has shed light on how difficult and challenging building and sustaining a positive school climate and culture can be, especially when as a building principal, you receive daily notifications that you have unfilled positions and there are no substitutes to cover. While the local education agencies, also known as LEA or school administrators, are ultimately responsible for ensuring all students receive a high-quality education, the role of a building principal is complex and requires wearing many hats. This is the reality that many educational leaders face every single day, no matter what zip code you work in. School administrators are leading teams of educators to shape our future leaders. Today on PaTTANpod, we will hear the journey another administrator has embraced when she started here at Donegal Intermediate School as the building principal in the fall of 2019. Welcome to Mrs. Rachel Bruno. She is the building principal here at Donegal Intermediate, located in Marietta, Pennsylvania, within the Donegal School District. She serves 850 students, grades 3 through 6, and supervises over 100 staff. Good morning, Rachel.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here today. We want to get to know you a little bit more. So tell us, what inspired you to become a principal? Can you tell us your story? How did you get here at Donegal Intermediate?
Yeah, I feel so lucky that I knew what I wanted to do. And I really credit that to the mentors that I had, people in my life who showed me what a superpower learning is, how to work with others, and just how powerful it is to be a part of making change in others' lives. My dad was a doctor, so he constantly was learning, taking classes, attending workshops, and even working in partnership and mentoring programs. And so he really instilled in me that continuous learning and just how powerful that is. And my mom was an office manager, so she constantly talked about the power of the team and how that teamwork and that collaboration in a positive environment can make such a huge impact. So those were the things that stuck with me and led me to want to be an educator. So I got my undergraduate and began teaching 4th grade and loved every minute of it. Went on to get my master's in curriculum and instruction and my reading specialist certification. And from there, I stepped into an instructional support specialist role and an instructional coach role, and loved being able to teach young learners and adult learners. And then that led me into my leadership path, where I became the dean of students and an assistant principal, and then of course now principal at Donegal Intermediate School, where I'm just blessed to be here.
Wow, what an amazing journey you were on. So you were both a classroom teacher, and then you were able to step into a coaching role. You also served as a dean of students and assistant principal. You have served in schools in many different ways, right? In different roles. And you also had lots of mentors along the way, both your mom and dad providing you with that model of how to build a strong team and to never give up learning new information, right? And so what an amazing journey that took you kind of here to Donegal. Let's move on and talk a little bit about what attracted you to this leadership role. You're here now as the head principal, so is there any courses or anything that really impacted you to get you to this point?
I think there was a high level of trust. The path to get me to be a teacher was easier for me, but the path to leadership, I really needed to trust the people that I worked with and those in my life to see things in me, and I needed to trust myself. Somebody recently told me the acronym END, so END, and to keep the end in mind. So the E stands for evaluating what energizes you. The N is what's neutral for you, and then the D is what's draining. So when I really evaluated myself, I found that I'm energized by motivating and inspiring others, by helping others to learn about the process of learning and best practices. And that's what really took me into leadership.
And I wrote that down. That's a really great acronym and a great takeaway for those listening today, especially those that are in the field right now trying to identify, am I in the right role, or is there something maybe that I'm missing, or is there something I want to aspire to do? So using that E for what energizes you, the N, what's kind of neutralizing, and then D, draining, things that maybe you want to avoid or things that don't feed you. Here at Donegal Intermediate School, you have a motto here and kind of a vision for the school. Every name, every need, one tribe. Can you tell us a little bit about what that means? How did you come to this motto for your school?
It started as a community component where we were working on the comprehensive plan. We also were working as a leadership team, really thinking about what drives us. What do we want to be our focus? And so it came out, we wanted it to be simple, we wanted people to remember it, and we wanted it to really stand for what we are. So it's really about knowing everybody in our community, understanding their needs, and being able to meet those needs together. So every name, every need, one tribe.
Wow, that is so powerful. All students matter. All students have the opportunity to learn regardless of the complexities and their needs. And so I think that's such a powerful motto.
Thank you.
Let's move on and talk a little bit about the skills that teachers need to have to endure during these challenging times.
One of the things that I think is the most important role of a leader is to participate in the hiring process. And when you're in that process, you're with other individuals, and everybody sort of has their non-negotiables, things that they're not willing to falter on. And so a colleague shared with me an author, Patrick Lencioni, and the traits that he found of a successful team member. So Patrick Lencioni talks about being hungry, humble, and smart. And then I add in heart. Being able to say that you truly love kids and love learning is a non-negotiable for me. And so hungry, humble, smart, heart, although those are things I'm looking for when we're hiring, it's also, I think, what you need to face challenging times. So being hungry, being willing and interested in putting yourself out there, taking risks and showing resilience, being humble, accepting of your own strengths and your own areas of growth and looking to others to support that. And being smart, not just book smart, but also being able to interact with others, being able to understand how my behaviors impact others. So these are the things I really think are what help people to sustain in those challenging times.
So focusing on anyone new coming in, when you're looking at hiring and replacing for people that may be retiring or moving on, being part of that process and really honing in on hungry, humble, smart, and heart.
Yep.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. So you as a building leader wear so many hats. We talked about just the role being complex and being challenging. What are some of the trainings, maybe courses? You talked a little bit already about mentorship. What are some of the things that you've learned that have prepared you to take on this role as building leader?
I really feel so grateful that I've worked along colleagues and been able to learn from them. Some of my big takeaways once getting into leadership are just the need for that really clear, unified vision. We learn about it in coursework, people talk about it a lot, but you really feel the impact of having that clear vision and being able to align things to it. The way we lead is the way others will lead, and that's in the classroom, that's in the community. So we want that to be aligned so we're all moving ahead in that same direction. I think the other big takeaway is just the overall importance of relationships and building a community of trust and respect. And our leadership team recently really we've been intentional with focusing on how are we building a place where people want to be. And so we explored trust and asked a simple question of how do you build trust? And although simple, we really do need to be intentional with taking action steps to build that so that we as a leadership team can trust one another individually with other staff members, with community members to really build that environment.
So you hit on mentorship, support. You talked about having clear vision. You talked about modeling and kind of practicing what you preach. The way you lead is the way others lead. And then building that community of trust and having those relationships are so important at the building level, as well as looking at the teacher to student interactions and teacher and family and community members. So talk to us a little bit about the trainings that are provided to teachers. Have you been able to access trainings through your IU or potentially maybe through PaTTAN? Give us an overview of the types of evidence-based practices that you're training your teams in, and maybe what those takeaways were and how they've impacted your building.
Yeah, I feel so grateful. We have a lot of support. So we've accessed PaTTAN, we've accessed our intermediate unit, and even fellow districts. Just last week, I was at a safety training that Hempfield School District hosted, and they opened their doors to be able to share the resource that they had brought. So being able to network is also so powerful. We hear a lot, know better, do better. But we have to know where to go in order to truly know better. We need vetted, reliable sources. And so it's so great that we have that in our intermediate units and in PaTTAN to be able to lean on. Recently, we had Dr. Pam Kastner come in and talk to us about structured literacy, and we've been following up with letters trainings through our intermediate unit for the staff. And what's been so powerful about that is we've also had coaching set up. So one of the individuals who's been hosting our letters training has then come in and spent time in the building with the staff, mentoring, shadowing, observing students, there to ask questions and sort of walk along the way with us. And that's been so helpful. I personally have been part of the Pennsylvania Inspired Leadership courses, which have been great, and that's been offered through the IU as well. So I continue to be so appreciative of just the variety of things, as well as the different ways to get to those. So there's things in the evening, during the day, during summer. There's live virtual trainings in person and even recordings. So just making it really attainable for staff to get that training.
So prioritizing evidence-based practices, but you also hit on making sure that those trainings then utilize those evidence-based practices. So having support, having consultants coming in on site, providing that coaching aspect, following up, being able to answer questions, give feedback. What a great opportunity too to connect with a local district, especially around a topic that is so critical right now. So thank you so much for sharing that connections with both the IU, your local district, as well as trainings that you've participated in for leadership, as well as through PaTTAN. So when we think about the skills that administrators need, if you were to identify anyone out there listening that may want to pursue leadership or might be kind of teetering on, I think I'm ready, I want to be part of leading a team, maybe I want to lead a committee, what are some of those skills that leaders, administrators need to sustain during these challenging times?
A lot of the traits I think of go back to servant leadership. And one of the biggest ones is really being self-aware, being able to understand who I am and how I impact others, being able to understand my strengths and my areas of growth, and then being able to lean on others. The other one is really being intentional about creating that safe and positive climate. So with that comes the ability to be able to ask for help when you need it and to create systems of support. We can't do it alone, and luckily we don't have to do it alone. So at Donegal Intermediate School, we have committees that are focused on our areas and our different initiatives, and we're using teacher leaders. We're using distributed leadership to help get more done and lean on the strengths of other people, and that's really powerful.
Wow. So being able to build capacity within the building and using distributive leadership so you're able to empower other leaders in your building to step up and lead a group of teachers, and then together coming as one and leading this work and leading the charge of impacting students, right? Best practices in the classroom. So,
And I firmly believe I don't need to be the expert. I heard the quote once that the smartest person in the room is the room. And so we really need to leverage that, leverage the people we have.
Wow, that is such a huge takeaway. The smartest person in the room is the room. So that takes us back to every voice matters. Everyone has input and everyone is smarter together. Yeah. I love that. So why do you think your staff stay here at Donegal Intermediate?
I think it's the people. It's the people, it's the community. It is the fact that we are working towards a common goal, growing together and leading together in that direction. I really think the district puts a priority on relationships, understanding and getting to know people in order to then help people learn and grow. And I feel blessed to work with a leadership team that's really putting that at the forefront of things, knowing that we have to know one another to be able to go as far as we need to go in education and really be able to push people. I think it also comes down to the climate. There's a climate of trust here and feeling valued, feeling heard, and feeling appreciated. Everybody wants to feel appreciated. And we're very intentional about that. So whether it's little things or big things, we make sure people feel that. So some of the things that we've done before is just little notes with candy on them, taking a coffee cart around for staff to be able to treat them to something, giving them a little pumpkin with a joke. Or it could be something even silly. We've done Zamboni karaoke, where the administrators hopped on the Zamboni machine and sang karaoke, and we were able to send that out to staff to welcome them back. So just making the effort to do those little things makes a big difference.
The little things matter, and making sure that people feel appreciated and valued and focusing on building those relationships. Wow, I love the examples that you gave with the candy and the coffee cart and just the Zamboni karaoke. What a fun way to kind of build a positive school climate and culture. I know as a previous teacher, that would have been something I would have loved to participate in. So those were really great ways to kind of reinforce the staff's behavior, motivate them, and to show them that we're here. We're all in this together. Even though there's going to be tough days, we're going to get through it together as one school.
Exactly.
So based on your experience, what keeps you here at Donegal? We know there's been a lot of turnover statewide and nationally, both with teachers and administrators. And so why do you stay here at Donegal Intermediate School?
It is the people. It's the community. I feel so supported here by the leadership team, by the staff, the families, the kids. The district is just so special. One of the things we have is a mentor program where members of our community can sign up to volunteer to be partnered one-on-one with a student. And the student might just need somebody extra in their life, and that person comes in weekly and finds opportunities to meet with them, goes to after-school events, and just makes a commitment to their life. So that's the type of place this is, and that's why I stay. It really is about the people.
Wow. So having those strong collaborative relationships and being able to practice and put into place what you preach and what you model. And so the mentorship program, I've never heard of that. That's really unique, that people from the community come and serve and your leadership team comes to serve students. What a great way to really build those strong relationships here with your students and your staff. Well, Rachel, it's been such an honor to be here. I am just so excited to see this journey that you've been on and the impact that you've made. We're really grateful to all of our school administrators that are serving their students, their families, their teachers, and being able to highlight what's happening here at Donegal Intermediate is really special. So thank you on behalf of all of us at Patton and just within the state system of support for really doing the hard work to lead during these challenging times.
Thank you.
For more information about special education leadership and effective instructional practices, check out the Patton website. Again, I want to thank Mrs. Rachel Bruno for sharing her leadership journey with us. And a very special thank you to John Ragsdale for producing this podcast. Viewers and listeners, I hope you will join me next time on PaTTAnpod.